Okay.
You want to set up the trays first?
Brown, but I found
Yes.
That's a good idea, but they needed the money.
Okay, I'll be up with this.
You're not getting it.
But what I thought was interesting in looking up this period and trying to do some research on it is that they were both here at a time of, how can I say, recovery of sorts. Isadora had lost her children, her two children, in a terrible drowning accident 3 years prior to her coming here in 1917. But I think it was a sorrow that just never left her. She went on with her career, but it was always there. So that was her condition. Sarah Bernhardt, 2 years prior to her coming here in 1917, through a terrible accident, which she is going to tell you about, lost her leg. It had to be amputated. I mean, a major calamity in anyone's life, but certainly in the life of that vigorous, vital, dynamic actress. She was recovering not from that, but from some serious surgery that she had had. She had, I don't think she would mind my telling you, she had uremia, and it was recurrent. It may have had something to do with her amputation, I don't know. But at any rate, she had surgery, and her farewell tour of America, which was in full glory, began in 1916. She had to temporarily stop it so that she could recuperate. And she came to Long Beach. Now, I have a feeling that William Reynolds, who apparently, does that name ring a bell?
Reynolds.
Good, I'm glad, because I found his name. He was a developer. He may very well have owned the Nassau Hotel where Sarah stayed, but he was very interested in show business. So that may have been the connection with Sarah and the Nassau Hotel, which is where she stayed. Isadora, who was a little bit down on her luck, company had just performed in New York. She rented a cottage on the beach, and that was and she and her company, the Isadorables, lived there for the summer. She was flat broke. She had been performing in New York. We are led to believe that maybe she had insulted some of her socialite audiences and fled New York rather quickly. She was due back in the fall to begin a tour. But she lived on the beach, and to keep them there, I should tell you that she had separated from her longtime financial supporter, lover, father of one of her lost children, Paris Singer. She had left him. This was off and on, but she had left him. And she pawned, in order that they might spend the summer here, she pawned the diamond necklace he had given her, sold her ermine cape, and her famous emerald. So that was where we find these two ladies, and I think it's so interesting, really, that they had never met. I must say, Isadora had a stream of interesting visitors while she was here. She had any number. She had Fritz Kreisler, the famous violinist. She had a playwright. She had the artist Marcel Duchamp, and Picabia, Francis Picabia, who came here. Gossip had it that she and Picabia were involved in a very torrid affair, which may or may not have been true. Let me just tell you that it was the photographer, Arthur Gente, who brought them together. He had taken many photographs of Isadora. Sarah knew him, and he knew that they were both in Long Beach and really wanted to bring them together. And he asked them if they would like to meet one another, and they said yes. And they met, of all places, on the boardwalk. And it was an interesting meeting. Sarah was in her wheelchair. She asked Isadora to sit beside her. And Isadora kneeled at Sarah's feet. She really felt that she should pay that kind of homage to the divine Sarah, and she did. Sarah got her up very quickly, and they sat. Sarah would never have kneeled for anyone. It was not her style, and with one leg, she really could never have done it. But I should mention that the meeting, and Sarah is going to tell you more about it, the meeting coincided with the American declaration of war in World War I against Germany and on the side of the Allies. And on the side of France, which meant a great deal to Sarah Bernhardt. The two talked of many things, Sarah will tell you, said goodbye about an hour after, and to our knowledge, never saw each other again. So that was the encounter. Now, Madame Sarah, the divine Sarah, is going to tell you about it herself. Now, I am Madame Sarah, sometimes the divine Sarah, but perhaps some of you do not know me, want to know who I am. Yes? Yes, I will tell you, but not in my own words. I think I will quote the art connoisseur, the great connoisseur of France, Edmond Goncourt. This is what he had to say about me. For over 50 years, she was the most famous and notorious woman in France. Her genius as an actress was that she could play all parts, and transform them. The brilliance of her dramatic technique was unequaled. She played all the great roles, from Shakespeare to Dumas, with ferocious passion that left her audience always yearning for more. So perhaps that answers your question about who I am. Now, how do I happen to be in Long Beach? It is 1917. It is my farewell tour of America. And I am recovering from surgery before I resume my tour in the fall. It is only 2 years since my leg is removed. I am resting here as well. I am now 73 years old. I must act, of course, but I must rest. How did it happen, my leg? Are you interested? Yes. It's a very interesting, tragic story. Do you know the play Tosca? You know the opera Tosca? We do the play before Puccini, long before Puccini. In the play, as you know, everybody dies. And at the end, Tosca jumps from the parapet to her death. I played this many times. Always, when I jump, is a mattress below. This night, I jump, there is no mattress. I land and my leg is terrible. For weeks we try to fix, it's shattered. The knee is gone. We try. Finally, the pain is so intense, I say, take it off. And the leg is removed. Now, how did it happen? Many stories. I believe it was a jealous rival who moves the mattress. So I am in this situation. But I do want to say about how I happen to be here. Mr. William Reynolds invited me to come to stay at this beautiful Nassau hotel. I believe he's a big developer here. Maybe he owns a Nassau hotel, and he's very, very interested in the theater, in show business. He asked me to come. So that is why I am here in Long Beach. Now, you want to know how Isadora and I met. We had never met before. We were in the same place. We knew about each other, of course, but we never met. The photographer, great, wonderful photographer, Arnold Gente, arranged for us to meet, and we meet on the boardwalk here in Long Beach. I am in my chair. She is wearing a tunic. I ask her, I see her for the first time, I ask her to sit with me. And she joins me by bowing before me and saying, I ought to be at your feet. Oh, me no, Isadora, no, I say, come sit with me. We make some talk, she sit with me, we make some talk. We talk about art. We have many differences about our approach to what we do. I am more of a show person, I think, than Isadora. I do this gesture. They love my voice. That is what I do. Very moving, but very, very theatrical. Isadora work more, I think, from the inside. She is a dancer more like Dusa, for example, is an actress. But we talk about art, about the beach, which is very beautiful. She and her Isadorables have no studios, they dance on the beach. We talk about the drama. Et puis, I say I am so happy today because America is in the war on the side of France. I work for France. I go, I talk, I sing the Marseillaise everywhere. Victoire, I say. It means victoire, c'est magnifique. And she say, very loud, no victory. War is death. War is death, she says to me. Victoire is peace. And she say it very loud. Only peace. I have nothing more to say to her. We sit for a few moments, and then she goes. I say, goodbye, Isadora. She say, goodbye, madame. And we never see each other again. Merci. I've introduced you to Sarah Bernhardt. Now I want to introduce you to Isadora Duncan. Bernhardt was known as the Divine Sarah. Many people call Isadora the Divine Flame. Her name evoked images of grace, of passion, of defiance. A true revolutionary, she was the mother of modern dance and a pioneering feminist. She was one of the first international superstars, a legend in her own time. The originality of her art was also characterized her life, which was restless and exciting, triumphant and tragic. To see her dance, said many of her admirers, was to realize the essence and the soul of art. For inspiration, she turned to three sources: to nature, the sea, the wind, the sun, to herself and the remarkable range of emotions that she had experienced, and to the art and mythology of ancient Greece. The selections she has chosen to dance for you today are early works, and knowing what we do about her life, they are very autobiographical. These first dances are to the music of Chopin. She begins with the prelude, a piece in which we find her searching, reaching out for a direction in life. The prelude. Falls in love with his reflection in the water and tries to chase it. It also tells us of Echo, who loved Narcissus but was unable to catch him. Narcissus was early in her career, but the gods and goddesses and the stories from Homer and the Greek tragedies were all subjects for her major dance pieces. She was inspired by the beautiful classical Greek sculptures and by the beautiful paintings by the great Renaissance artists. She said the teaching of sculpture and dance ought to go hand in hand. Think about that as you watch these next pieces. Next is Oriental. It reveals her fascination with the exotic and the awakening of her own power. Finds her searching for a partner. This one or that one? Which will it be? Greek ideal and the rhythms of nature helped to mold the dances of Isadora, but so did music. She not only sought out great music worthy of supporting her concept of dance, but she was inspired by the music as well. And Chopin seemed ideal for these early pieces. And next, you're going to see the butterfly as it flutters in its search, loving each minute, living all of life in the moment. It's interesting, while Madame Duncan is preparing, that many people who saw her dance and musicians often commented that it was more than just using the music. She was almost one with the music. That was the depth of her ability and her understanding to work with music. And next, as I said, you're going to see the butterfly. Are to the music of Schubert. They were originally choreographed for her students. Almost as important to her as her career was her devotion to children and to her school. Even before her own children, she was eager to pass this along, to really disseminate what it was that she was so interested in. She said, "Let us teach little children to breathe, to vibrate, to feel, and to become one with nature. Let us first produce a beautiful human being," she said, "a dancing child." Now these pieces were inspired by the sculpture of Donatello and Della Robbia. The first is water study. Isadora's earliest inspiration came from the ocean, the waves, the tides as they broke upon the shore. And this dance is based on the rhythm of the ocean and the tides when they are calm and when they are turbulent. It will be followed by lullaby. heard his Opus 39 and was inspired to create a series of dances. They later became known as the Many Faces of Love. And they do show us the many aspects of love. And she's going to do the Seagull for you first. It's a study of loneliness, the loss of a partner, carrying on its journey alone. The Seagull. Let me share it with you and see if you see the similarity. Once, Pomanock, when the lilac scent was in the air and the fifth-month grass was growing, up this seashore in some briars, 2 feathered guests from Alabama, 2 together, and their nest, and 4 light green eggs spotted with brown. And every day the he-bird to and fro near at hand, and every day the she-bird crouched on her nest, silent and with bright eyes. And every day I, a curious boy, never too close, never disturbing them, cautiously peering, absorbing, translating. Shine, 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 pour down your warmth, great sun, while we bask, we 2 together. Till of a sudden, maybe killed, unknown to her mate, one forenoon the she-bird crouched not on the nest, nor ever appeared again. And thenceforward all summer the sound of the sea, and the night under the full of the moon in calmer weather, over the hoarse surging of the sea, or flitting from briar to briar by day, I saw, I heard, at the intervals, the remaining one, the he-bird, the solitary guest from Alabama. He called on his mate, he poured forth his meanings, all of which I know. Blow, 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 blow up sea winds along Pomanock shore. I wait and I wait till you blow my mate to me. The Gypsy is the next of the Brahms pieces. celebrates the wild, enveloping female votaries of Dionysus. Nor heat flames and consumes, nor sea waves hurry in and out, nor the delicious air and dry, the air of ripe summer bears lightly along the white downhalls of myriads of seeds, wafting, sailing gracefully to drop where they may, nor these, or none of these more than the flames of me sometimes, burning, burning for the love of thee. Flames of the heart, the next dance you're going to see, shows us the face of passion and abandon. Isadora by the poet Carl Sandburg. She was a flame sheath of flesh made for dancing. She believed. She ran out into the rain, sun, storm, and became part of them. And they were afterward woven into her dances. The wind, I am the wind. The sea and the moon, I am the sea and the moon. Tears, pain, love, bird flights, I am all of them. I dance what I am. Sin, prayer, faith, the light that never was on land or sea. I dance what I am. And finally, rose petals, which is a kind of thank you. Rose petals.
her school, which became her adopted daughters, the Isadorables that Shirley had mentioned. She had taught these dances to them. Anna Duncan, Irma Duncan, Maria Teresa, maybe some of you are familiar with those names. In fact, I used to live in Far Rockaway, and Anna Duncan would come to Rockaway and taught us, when I was a young child. She would teach us the children's dances. In fact, it was in the basement of my home that she would teach us, myself and 2 sisters and 2 other girls. So I did, in fact, even have some of her teaching the works to us. Most of my training was from Julia Levine, who was one of Anna Duncan's and Irma Duncan's dancers. They had, the next generation formed another company. So the Isadorables had their own company. Julia Levine was my teacher in Far Rockaway when I was from the age of 5. And I went on to other forms of dance later on, but went back to it, and Julia had started a company in Manhattan. And in fact is still, is still the artistic advisor for work that we do.
And she's formidable. She's what, 90?
She's over 90.
Over 90, and she's just formidable.
And she's a strong presence, and she has a lot to say.
Yeah.
And yes, these dances were taught to her. We're not improvising. We're not getting it from images from photos, which is, certainly perhaps valid. But in fact, it was, I'm not changing the choreography that was taught to me.
Very good. Any other questions or things you want to tell us about Long Beach, or anything we can tell you about these 2 remarkable women?
So on with me.
I'll go get my next one.